the Saudis, they made peace with Iran. They made peace. They're making peace with Yemen, God willing. And now you have the Syrian foreign minister landing in Saudi Arabia and being greeted here by the deputy Saudi foreign minister. I mean, what a sight for sore eyes. When's the last time you saw anything like this? This is huge. This is actually huge. This picture made me smile because, like I said, you contrast that with what's happening in Ukraine and the situation there, which is very unfortunate, where there's no diplomacy, there's nothing of the sort. You're seeing now in the Middle East a lot of diplomacy, and I think if China hadn't stepped up to the plate and gotten Iran and Saudi Arabia to hash things out, the situation in the region, the climate, just wouldn't have allowed for the Saudis to make peace with Yemen or with Syria. Okay, so yes, these two things are tied together, and I know you're gonna have these pseudo pretentious academics who once again put on their spectacles and say, well, it's because Assad is an Alawite and the Houthis are Shia and they are linked to Iran. That's why they were given the okay from Tehran to make peace with the Saudi. Jesus Christ. I mean, how do you make a living with this drivel? This is incredible to me, right? They always try to make it about Shia and Sunni and just, it's this mindset that, the West has nothing to do with this and it's all religious. And please don't insult my intelligence. Don't insult the viewers' intelligence with this nonsense. There's nothing to do with that. This is the Saudis. They're looking towards that petro yuan, right? Not petrodollar, petro yuan. And they're looking towards the multipolar world. They want to be a part of that. But it's not only business, it's also an opportunity for the Arab world to heal, because, the other reason why this is significant is because, they basically, the Saudis tried to overthrow the Syrian government, right? I think it's a very difficult thing. And again, I'm not saying they're innocent, but it must be so, unnerving for the Saudis to kind of bite their tongue now and just sit down and, smile and act friendly with people they try to overthrow. It's kind of funny. It's kind of comical. But hey, it's good. This is good for the region and for the world. And Saudi Arabia is now actually trying to get Syria a seat at the table during this Arab League summit that's going to happen next month in May, right? So it's kind of funny because I think Qatar and Kuwait are the ones, that are putting their foot down and saying, no, we don't want Syria there. We don't want Syria at this meeting, or to resume its membership in the Arab League. And the Saudis are the ones that are in favor. It's kind of funny, really. Here's another photo, by the way, another epic photo of the Syrian foreign minister in Jeddah in Saudi Arabia. What an epic photo, really. It's one for the history books. As they say, it's the first visit by a senior Syrian diplomat to the Saudi kingdom in more than a decade. And they will also reestablish ties and reopen their embassies. That's a given. Remember, Saudi Arabia funded a lot of the groups. As I said, they were trying to overthrow the government, not just in name, but in practice, right? In reality, they were funding a lot of these hardline extreme. I love this word hardline. It could mean everything and nothing at once. Well, in the case of Saudi Arabia, you already know which way they're leaning in terms of these groups. Let's say a lot of them are hard to differentiate with Al-Qaeda, right? But again, I'm not here to rub their noses in it or anything like that. But, if you're in the Syrian opposition right now, you must be like screaming inside because, there's no one left but Turkey, like to prop you up now. But, I'm not here to rub anyone's nose in this. I'm just giving you the news. So foreign ministers from Iraq, Jordan, Egypt, and the Gulf Cooperation Council will gather in Jeddah on Friday. Again, just so you know, the GCC includes Saudi Arabia, the UAE, Bahrain, Oman, Qatar, and Kuwait, right? So mainly the Arab countries in the Persian Gulf. So, as I said, they want to bring in Syria on this Arab League summit meeting in Riyadh on May 19th. But why are they gathering on Friday already? The sole purpose of this meeting on Friday is to discuss whether they should have Syria at the Arab League summit, right? So that's really what it's about. Now, also some more good news, which I just saw. Tunisia, right? They have said they will resume ties with Syria, and it's actually happening. You know, they're going to reopen their embassies. So the Syrian government said today they'll be reopening the Syrian embassy in Tunisia. So it's very good, because Morocco, for example, I think unfortunately has advanced or strengthened its ties with Israel. It's even buying Israeli weaponry, but ties with Syria at the moment, very bad, not looking good, right? At least with Tunisia, things are getting better, right? So, that again, this is a big plus, because here, you can see China, Iran, Saudi Arabia, saying they'll reopen their embassies. This is very, very good, but you have to consider that I'm speaking to you about Syria in terms of, moving on from this war that's gone on since 2011, and being reintegrated into the Arab League, which is very important, right? Syria is a founding member. It's, when Gaddafi gave that amazing speech at the Arab League, he did it in Damascus, right? He told them, watch out. They went, if they dare to come after Saddam, they'll dare to come after you. And he was right. He was next in line. Why is it important for Syria to be brought back into the Arab League? Is it because Gaddafi gave good speeches there? No, it's because what Europe loves to see, what Washington loves to see, and what Israel loves to see is a divided Arab world. I don't remember the channel's name. You can go look this up on YouTube. There are people who make these YouTube videos with hypotheticals, like, what if all the Arab countries got together and formed a military and so on? And you can see, dude, this would be the third largest country on earth or something like that. They'd have the best, actually third largest country in population is not true. I think he said third largest economy and one of the best militaries. My point here is really that if you did have a united Arab world, you're looking at a power, like and I'm not just talking about a regional power, a global superpower. The Russians, the Americans, the Chinese, people think of them as global superpowers, or the United States as a hyperpower. Nobody thinks of, a unified Arab world. Now, I'm not saying the Arab League is gonna, tomorrow morning is gonna unite and become, one country. No, but having Arab states not talking to each other, warring with each other, working against each other. This is a dream come true for any colonizer. That's why they drew the current borders. Remember, I always remind you, Syria's borders, as they are today, no one in Syria drew them. Those are French and British lines, but for some reason, they've decided to keep them, right? And in Africa, the same thing. No one from Africa or in Africa drew those borders, right? Those are European colonizers who drew them. So it's a straight up, divide and conquer. But having Syria, brought back on the international stage and in the Arab world, it has to begin with the Arab world. And, whether they like it or not, the Houthis in Yemen, not going anywhere. Bashar al-Assad is not going anywhere. And you have to ask yourself, what was all of this destruction for? It's a shame. It's a shame, right? Again, here you can see they mention Syria and Tunisia agreed to reopen their respective embassies. Both countries said on Wednesday. As I mentioned, this is just breaking from a few hours ago. One thing I forgot to mention earlier is that Oman sent a delegation with the Saudi delegation to Yemen, right? So that's important to mention. But you've had so many Arab countries in the span of a few months normalize ties with Syria, or shall we say, reestablish ties with Syria. So that is significant, right? I've lost count of the number of videos we've done about this, but every time something happened, I kept you guys updated. So this is the latest one, and I think it's basically picking up like a snowball, right? So from here on out, if Saudi Arabia has done it, it becomes a lot easier for other Arab countries to take the step and engage with Syria and have a rapprochement there. So let's see what comes next. But so far, well done, China. You've done quite a bit of good for the region, I should say. Well done.